We are off. No punts allowed. Adam and Paige. Cheers, Paige. What do you have there?
Cheers. This is tequila. What's in our? My friend is sitting in on our podcast. She's our first live audience podcast member. Mary, shut up, Mary Patton. I was going to Mary McDonald by her maiden name. But I am in a hotel room in Arizona, and we are drinking tequila.
Casamigos.
It's a good sign. It's a good.
Margarita mix and LaCroix.
Okay, so there's some Trader Joe's margarita mix and LaCroix in here, so it's a very good sparkling drink. But sober March is over.
Apparently.
And
with a vengeance.
With a vengeance, starting in New Orleans.
So you went a month without drinking. Oh, kudos, shout out to you. And then you go to New Orleans, one of the greatest places on earth. So
To drink.
the vibe. Let's give me the breakdown of that first. Like, at what cocktail did you realize like my body is clearly out of drinking shape? When did that happen?
The very first. I started with whiskey and whiskey neat, and I was like, I already feel buzzed. And it was like after a long travel day. But New Orleans is, I gotta tell you, like, I forgot how much fun it is, because it's like adult Disneyland, and I call it the Vegas of the South, because it's legitimately like you can walk everywhere, you can get a drink and carry your drink outside. Everyone's so friendly, like
food's awesome.
The food's good. There's always music playing. It was amazing, and plus top it off with the fact that I got to watch some of the best basketball in like college basketball history. That also made for an excellent time. All
right, so Duke loses. I'm gonna just pepper you now.
Yeah,
like that had to be okay. So from a story, you're there, obviously to produce content. So it's great. Yes. It's great content in the moment, but it's also like a little deflating because it like if they're in the championship, it's really pretty unbelievable. So what were like the emotions attached? Because like the internet just dunks on Coach K at every turn.
Yeah, which is so strange to me because like I knew people didn't really care for Duke. And I mean, I went to Arizona. Nobody from Arizona likes Duke. Like, we beat them in an NCAA tournament once when I was in school, and it was like one of the greatest moments. But seeing like those fans and how much they care about it, and thinking about like 40 plus years of someone being in the same place, and especially like think about college football, like how fast that stuff changes, and like how quickly people go from school to school, like. It's crazy to have somebody be at a place for 40 years, be successful. And it was a very, like, surreal moment. It didn't really hit me until I got to the post-game presser with Coach K, and his wife, Mickey, was sitting probably, like, 2 rows away from me. And people obviously asked him about, you know, this being the end and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I don't want to make it about me right now. I don't want to make it about me after a year of making it about him. But his wife was like sort of choking up and getting teary, and like her grandson, who also was on the team, he came in there and sat with her and put his arm around her, and she like leaned on him and she was crying. And for me, that was like the moment I realized like there's so much more emotion as like simply a college basketball fan that was behind it for me. Sure. And I think for everyone that like once we realized it was over, like yeah, for North Carolina fans, bragging rights for life. This is fantastic for them. They get to brag and dunk on Duke fans for the rest of eternity. Like, there's no recovering from that, especially doing it twice. So that was cool to see. And that was the other part of it, was like seeing someone like Hubert Davis, like really like blossom. And like people really love him. It's his first year. It was cool to see like the passing of the torch of like someone who's going to be very successful at a place for a very long time. Maybe not Coach K level successful, obviously, because they lost the following game. But it was a very surreal moment as like a college basketball fan watching, and then to see even Kansas win was like a blue bloods, just like it was amazing. It was so cool, and I despise Kansas, but I was like, you know what? This is a cool moment for Bill Self. This is a cool moment for these kids. Nobody was picking them. I said that last week. I said, please sprinkle a little on Kansas because no one's talking about it, and they seem like the team that's most likely to win this thing because there's not a lot of emotion behind the games they have to play.
Two gambling things, which of course is where I always go. Duke cost me a fair amount of money. losing.
Lots of people.
Because I had a parlay with them on the money line. That was incredibly fucking annoying, especially with their free throw shooting being terrible. And the championship game, gambling intrigue with the line at 4.5. Kansas inbounds. He steps out. I mean, that is a roller coaster of emotions for the gamblers when you're down 15, you storm back, you take a 6-point lead. It felt like Kansas was going to blow them out at that point. They don't. I mean, then North Carolina's in a position to win the game again. And then Kansas really, if he just stays in bounds and hits a free throw or two, probably covers in that game. Probably covers. Yeah. That's one of the wildest gambling sequences I've ever seen when you consider how much money was bet on that game and the side being completely in flux until the very end. Yeah. I know there's bigger things. I was very light. I was doing props and other bullshit on the championship game. So I was really not that invested. Props had been decided at that point. I was fixated on just what the hell is going to happen to the people who are betting on this.
It was also a strange sequence because originally they had the foul call that was after the out of bounds. And everyone was trying to figure out in the arena what was happening. We were watching on the broadcast because the broadcast TVs are in the press area. And they hadn't even gotten to the point that they were showing everyone that they were reviewing the out of bounds and not the foul call. And so everyone assumed that they were it was just kind of a crazy, especially because there was so little time left. We thought, like you said, we thought Kansas was winning. It was a very strange, uneasy feeling. And I was oh my God, are we about to witness the greatest of shots in the world? This was just, it's also, I will say this, the Final Four is by far the best sporting event that I have ever been to. I'm not just saying that because of recency bias, but in terms of, and we talk about this a lot because we obviously love college football, but fandom for college, alumni and just people that are fan of college teams, you stay with that team. You don't, if you're a fan of LeBron, you've maybe moved around rooting for the team that he plays for. And you do that with your favorite pro player or whatever. And most people do keep their sports team for life, fair. But colleges is just so different. It's such a deeply rooted thing that's passed on from generation to generation. And watching Kansas, UNC, and Duke fans, and even Villanova fans. For sure. It was amazing to me to see how many people were there. How
it looked like a great scene.
It was so cool. And I will say, definitely if you're gonna go, splurge for the good tickets because it's definitely hard to watch a basketball game and know what's going on in a football stadium. Which, by the way, so very emotional. I went up to the press box at one point for something, and the OG one because the press stuff is different for basketball games. And I had flashbacks to 2020 of the national title game. It was crazy. But it was a really cool experience, and I will say, Final Four, and also you get you get multiple games. It's not like the national championship where it's you spend a whole weekend there to go on Monday. This is you get Saturday games, and then back to back, and then you get the really, 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 really late game on Monday.
New Orleans should host everything. My only downfall, so that stadium, the press box is tiny. It is old. Not to sound like the snarky, pampered media member that I am, but I'm going to. But it's open air press box too. You're way the fuck up there. It's a really interesting viewing experience. But New Orleans in general is the GOAT host city. It really is. I like Atlanta. Vegas is going to be spectacular. Atlanta's very good. Vegas is going to be spectacular. New Orleans, of course, is the GOAT. So that's awesome. That's it's a little weird that college basketball is done, but by the way, to tie a bow on this and to move to college football related things, whenever a season ends, during this time, it's always the college football juices edge up just a little bit. Yeah. It's checklist. It's like a checklist, right? NFL, done. Okay, college basketball, done. Baseball starting, done. Golf's first major, which we are going to dive into. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that.
We are going to dive into.
Okay, let's do a couple college football related things. Two things really kind of caught our eye. We also have to do our No Punts Allowed ranking, which we can do at the end. But Bob Bowlesby, Big 12 commissioner, stepping down. It feels interesting. The timing is very interesting. The circumstances are very interesting. I mean, he's, I think, 70 years old, or will be 70 years old. He's been around a long time. He had years left on his contract. Big 12, of course, has been put through the ringer. So, Paige, I guess my question to you is, they're stepping down. He's clearly, made lots of money. He's quite fine. But then there's air quote it, stepping down.
Stepping down. Yes. No, 1,000% he is air quote stepping down.
Yes.
This is all the nature of everything that's happened over the last year. In the course of the last couple of years, I think too, like, one of the big things that, like, he's really butchered, in my opinion, is when, like, the Big 12 was being left out of the playoff.
Yes.
And, like, the conversation was, like, how do we get them in? And, like, he just didn't set his teams up to be successful in that conference to make the playoff and make a case. Like, yes, you could be undefeated in your league that people find to be a less superior league than the other 4 conferences in the Power 5, which, shout out to Pac-12 for that little bit of time that they got that. Now we're in that spot. And that's a very similar situation to what the Pac-12 is. But then also you think of, obviously, Texas and Oklahoma and that being a factor. They just need something fresh. And I also think the other part is, like, even with the Pac-12's new commissioner, like, TV deals are the moneymaker.
Yes.
That's what it is about now. And, like, no offense, but he's, like, older and not really well versed in that stuff. And I think they'll bring in someone that you see is, like, more techie, worked for a media company, has, like, that kind of experience, because that's what it's going to be about, is the TV deal and moving them back to a place with teams where they can sell that product without Texas and Oklahoma.
For sure. Pac-12 hired a guy that, like, worked for what, MGM? So yes. When Big 12, I mean, the Big 12 has been through it. It has been a really turbulent, not just year, it's just been that way for a while. And so I'm with you. I think you hire somebody who is all about the next television deal and improving kind of the general image of the conference. And I think Pac-12 has actually done a decent job of that. Like, I think there's probably some of the Pac-12 blueprint that you say maybe they're on the right track. I find it fascinating, by the way, that they're ditching Pac-12, just a quick aside, ditching their facility and just going fully remote for a conference. Like, kind of fascinating.
There was I think it was the Oregonian that did this, like, deep dive on, like, the Pac-12 with Larry Scott and, like, everything about the, like, office.
Yes.
I think they were paying, like, this is probably butchering the numbers. I wish that I had it.
It was an ungodly amount. Yes.
That San Francisco office cost them like $90 million to upkeep. And they were not even the main person in that building. They were in a building with, like, the local NBC affiliate in the Bay Area. And they were in, like, a prime San Francisco place and paying $90 million.
The thought was they were going to go to Vegas, which would have made sense.
Yeah.
Real estate
would have made so much more sense.
A lot cheaper. It's a hub now for basically every tournament.
Even LA. They don't even host their media days in Northern California. They host them in Los Angeles, in Hollywood.
Look, reality is, back to the Bowlesby thing. This is a weird business. It's a really weird thing. And when he was completely left in the dark with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, like, I don't know where to place the blame, so to speak, on that. It's really not necessarily his fault, but it was such a really bizarre perplexing end to the tenure that it sort of decides his fate. Like, and that may be unfair. It's just the reality of the business, and it's really weird, and it's competitive. And they had no idea. The Big 12 had no idea that was coming, and it drastically reshaped. They did okay. They replaced them with some decent teams, but the value of the conference went down considerably, considering all the metrics of Oklahoma and Texas, just from a viewership standpoint. And it's going to be hard to recover from that. So, I'm with you. Air quote,
he stepped down.
Stepping down. The other thing, Texas A&M is still recruiting. I don't even know if we should be surprised. Lebbeus Overton. Lebbeus, this is
what a name.
My latest high school player that, if I'm butchering your first name, I am so sorry. I'm going to do this on every show now. However, massive recruit. And Paige, this is why this is a big deal. This isn't 2023. This isn't 2024. You and I were talking off air and just looking at the defensive line class for 2022. This is like happening now. Here's what you have. You have the number 4 player. Okay, number 4 defensive lineman in the class, already on campus. Okay. You have the number 10 defensive lineman in the class, already on campus. And with letters of intent, you have Walter Nolan, number 2 player in the country, number 1 defensive lineman in the class. You have the number 3 defensive lineman, and Shamir Stewart. And now you have our guy Levius, number 5 defensive lineman in the class. Not to mention the number 1, like the number 3, I'm looking here, number 3 wide receiver, number 1 wide receiver, but they have 5 of the top 10 defensive linemen in the entire class. The only parallel I have to this, do you remember when Stanford, I think, signed like 4 or 5 five-star offensive linemen? This was before David Shaw was really bad at coaching. But they did that one time, and I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. Like, this is pretty wild to me.
It's exciting. It's also interesting that this is happening because they don't have this, like, slush fund that they can, like, pay these players. So, like, obviously that has no impact on this whatsoever.
For love of the game.
But, I mean, it's unfortunate that they can't recruit, like, a good quarterback. But other than that, like...
They got one this year, too. I
will say that is more of a joke and just, like, at the direction of Texas A&M because everyone's like, they're a quarterback away. And it's like, we get it, but, like, we thought Georgia was a quarterback away, and they did it with, like, a not-so-great quarterback. No offense, Stetson. But
they got a 5-star This is...
Yes.
Now.
But again, like, you also know that you can recruit a 5-star quarterback, and they will... Look at... DJ at Clemson, look at Spencer Rattler, they definitely don't pan out sometimes. Take Martell.
I think I'm going to for sure. Yeah, it's a harder position to fill. And you think with Jimbo would be able to do it. But the final count on Texas A&M's 2022 recruiting class, 8 5-stars. 8.
Well, and they already had the highest on signing day. They had already solidified having like the best ranked class ever.
This defensive line class has got to be $2 million. Like, let's be real here. This is a $2 million defensive line class. I will bet. It's over $1 million. I mean, these guys,
and we know of all the places. They've got it in there.
But I kind of love it.
I think we need to revisit that story. We need to revisit that story.
I was thinking about this today when I saw this story of just, can you buy a national championship? Like, and I mean that, and now legally, can you buy it?
Now can you buy it? Because legally, like before,
yeah,
we're not gonna throw shade at any teams that have won championships over the years.
Even then, like they hired Jimbo to this deal that felt cartoonishly large at the time, and now it's just like another deal. It sort of has changed the coaching market, quite honestly. But like, can you buy it? And
buy it in like all aspects, like players, coaches,
facilities. Absolutely. Like, it's not. We're not just saying that from a recruiting standpoint. Although we're kind of saying it from the recruiting standpoint.
Well, even NIL now though shifts it that much more to that. Like, you could buy the best coach, and you couldn't buy the best players legally. Now you can buy the best coach and the best players.
It's just 8 5-stars. I don't know if we've ever seen that. Georgia had 5 this year, by the way. Not too shabby. 8. That is like an entire side of the ball in 5-stars that they've done. Granted, you're going to have some transfer portal things shake out on that defensive line.
Well, yeah.
But the fact that you have options, that many options there is, I am intrigued. This is the Georgia blueprint.
Was there a 5-star quarterback that they got this year for 2022?
What's his name? Wegman or whatever? Yes. And they also got the transfer from LSU to go there as well. So it's not, so they have options. But
do you think, like, realistically, I mean,
and the number 2 wide receiver. Number 2 and number 3.
Has there been like a really young team to win a national title? Like, I don't feel like Georgia was that young, but like, think if you have like 8 5-stars coming in and like your quarterback pans out in the way that you expected to. And how like they weren't bad last year. I mean, they had some struggles, but
They beat Bama.
They obviously beat Bama. That's what I mean. Is like, are we like maybe undervaluing the fact that like if this pans out properly, this could be like a really big shakeup in.
We had them both pretty high in our rankings. I think the problem for them is the competition, the week in, week out grind is hard. But
you're right.
They are.
Everything has to go right for this to work. Like that, it's very much like on paper looks great,
and the offense has to be better because the defense was great last year, and they lose some people. But like this, if you want to build a champion, like this is what Georgia did, and you could argue that A&M is maybe slightly ahead of the curve of what Georgia did. Now Georgia did it for a while.
Georgia blew the chances with Justin Fields and that whole situation.
Yeah, they got to find a quarterback. They find a young quarterback, or a quarterback with years of eligibility.
A consistent quarterback. You don't even need. You can get a transfer for 1 year and make him consistent in that year of being good.
But to sign this class with the number 2 and number 3 wide receivers, like this is the formula. Like the hype should be really like if Jimbo doesn't win a national title in 3 years, A&M fans should be pissed. Like I know it's hard, but I mean I'm serious. Like this is a crazy level. Now, do we want to do our no punts allowed team so we can talk Masters? Let's do our team.
Yes, because we'll do Masters full out after this because I'm very, very excited for that portion of
it.
So we can definitely talk.
Well, this is easy too because we are back on
to being the same.
And actually, the interesting thing about it is we have utilized all of the same teams. So this is team number 7, and this team for both of us is Notre Dame. So you were conflicted last week. We had to like double check to make sure we got the teams right. Hey, it's a long week. But so number 7, Notre Dame. I mean, I think it's one of the things that was lost. So they lose Kyle Hamilton to the NFL, and it'll be interesting to see where he's drafted because I think he's amazing. And of course, they go out and they get Brandon Joseph of Northwestern right down the road from me. Yes. Who's like an all-American legit star.
Fantastic.
Oh, he's really good. So like it's not easy to plug in someone like that. Notre Dame's interesting though because I do think did we take for granted how good Brian Kelly was as his job at his job. I think we might have. We'll find out if we did. But Brian Kelly won a lot of goddamn games there. And Marcus Freeman, who seems to, I mean, Jesus, looks the part. Like, I just love listening to him talk. I would commit to him right now. Certainly has done a great job with the defense, but like, Brian Kelly won big. Like, the expectations are pretty high here.
So what Notre Dame did, and this is why I was conflicted because my other choice was Utah, and the reason it was hard for me to decide was because in the Pac-12, this always happens. Always, without fail. There is a team that could definitely go undefeated and does not. Or, like, plays in close games with a team that they should not have been in a close game with. And that's sort of what has kept them out of the playoff in years past. And Notre Dame, like, despite the fact that they're playing, like, lesser of teams, really, in people's opinion, and they still managed to, like, be undefeated or have a quality loss, if you will. And like you said, that could have been really the coaching aspect of it, and Brian Kelly out-coaching some of those coaches in late games, in late situations. They had a lot of close games, I feel like, last year. So, like,
yeah,
that is something that maybe we did undervalue. What I know we did not undervalue is, like, I can't wait to watch one quarterback play for Notre Dame. Like, I cannot wait for that to be a decision and them to have one quarterback. I hope that Freeman does that because if there's nothing that Brian Kelly loves more than switching out quarterbacks.
Well,
like,
and
it was exhausting.
And I think one of the other interesting things for them, it's still a really good roster. It's still
you're always going to have good talent in Notre Dame. That's never going to be the issue. People are going to want to go there.
Yeah, Michael Mayer is at tight end is incredible. I am really interested by the schedule. You start at Ohio State, which I can't think of probably truly
quality loss.
A worse place to start next year. Honestly, I mean that like quality loss, but they might get the shit kicked out of them. What do you think the point spread will be on that game? 6.5, 7, maybe higher, 8.5.
I think it'll be double digits for Ohio State. I think it'll be like It'll be actually, I think it'll be like 13 and a half.
It actually might be. So here's the schedule. I won't go through the whole schedule, but they're out of conferences. Like they play Marshall, who they'll beat, but Marshall's not terrible. They play Cal, but then they play at UNC and at BYU. BYU is no joke. BYU is going to be good next year.
At BYU is no joke.
Yeah. Stanford sucks. UNLV, yeah. At Syracuse, I don't know. That's a weird place. They don't have air conditioning in that dome. It's hilarious. They play Clemson. They play at Navy. They play BC, who could be pretty good. And then they play at USC. I think the schedule has some teeth, honestly. Like, I think there's a lot of games that they could lose on that schedule. Like, it's...
Well, they learned their lesson after the discussion so much, having teams that are, like, quality to play against.
Yes.
But I don't know. I mean,
I still like them.
I just feel like they're always in the conversation. Like, it's weird to leave them out. Like, having them this low even feels weird because it's like we're so used to them always being in the, like, top 6, really. And Texas A&M is obviously shifting that narrative. But, yeah, Notre Dame... Does
it feel like Brian Kelly left a year and a half ago? Doesn't that feel like a long time ago?
It feels like he's been LSU's coach forever.
Isn't that weird?
It feels like I think it was like last pod that we were talking about like craziest like Twitter days or whatever. And I remember the day that he was hired and there was so much news going on. I honestly can't tell you what else happened in that 72-hour window because I was so I remember just being so incredibly busy, and that was like the icing on the cake. Was that just like happening and being like absolutely insane?
All right. We love college football. I love college football. And Paige, I am writing feature stories that are drafty, but college football, like my college football, I am ready for a season right now. Like my April offseason status is charged. However, it is fucking Masters week.
This week.
Now, by the time you listen to this, the Masters is probably started, right? Whatever. I love this tournament. I went a couple of years ago to a practice round. Right. Yes. It's probably the coolest thing we've ever done. Here's the thing. Okay, I know we talked Tiger last week a little bit. We got to talk a little Tiger. Yeah. So I walked that course and I felt like absolute dog shit for like 4 days. The TV perspectives, and people had told me this.
Like, did you wear sensible shoes?
I did. We did like 37,000 steps. It was crazy. And I remember it was like hole 18, but even like hole 2, when you're watching that par 5 that's downhill, there's just the perspective on it. Like I have newfound appreciation for just what they have to do. So when I'm watching Tiger on a leg that's been reconstructed, try to do this thing.
He called himself Humpty Dumpty.
Well,
glued back together again.
I feel I'm so excited for him. We have bets. We'll talk about those soon. He was sitting. Oh yeah.
Literally when he was talking about, they're like, "Do you think you can contend?" I do. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Let's
the office scene where it's like, "Oh my god, it's happening! It's happening!" I was just literally, I was in a sheer panic. There is, like you said, we love college football. I love Masters Week probably more than any other sporting event out there. I just said that the Final Four is the best sporting event to go to. I think once I go to Augusta National, that will do it for me, and that will be it. Because also I appreciate that there's no phones and you have to be in the moment there, and I just feel like that would be amazing. But Masters Week for me is a huge deal. I love, especially because it's always after the national championship.
Oh yeah.
In college basketball. And so I'm okay, it's off season for me. It's the start of real off season really. And I legitimately can't wait. And there's just so much about this tournament that I do want to say the people that run the Masters social accounts, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, bravo. This is
it's phenomenal.
I was explaining this to my friends earlier. I was saying there's something very unique about doing social media for the Masters. You can work in sports and do social media, and it's usually the same vibe for a lot of the major sports. For the Masters, it's such a prestigious event, and to keep relevant content that is still respectful of the Masters and what it is, but also very engaging and very unique and creative and fun it's like a very fine line. And it's only Wednesday when we're recording this, and I have to tell you, I'm highly impressed. So I just want to give them a full shout out. And also, if they would like me to be a part of that team next year, let me know.
Oh, wow. And a pitch. Now, yes, the app is incredible. I, in my other life, do this stuff to try to make apps. Yes. It's fucking hard to do what they do. They do everything. I literally, by the way, cleared up like all my meetings tomorrow and all my calls because you best believe there's going to be a lot of watching, a lot of Masters watching.
I'm working a half day, and I will be taking a tablet to the pool here in Arizona to watch and sit by the pool and watch the Masters.
All right. So favorite things. So first off, I'm a Golden Tee person. I will start. I love Jim Nantz. I fucking love Jim Nantz. I'm not just saying that because he is in the game. Yes. Nantz is the official voice of this. He is like,
I should have taken a picture of him at the national championship.
Well, you know what I think it is with golf? When you've had like Fox try to do golf, and NBC does golf very well. But like doing golf coverage is really hard. And doing this golf coverage is even harder. And to be able to do it the way he does, like, it's a gift. He is like, it is amazing when you just hear golf. It's so different than calling any other sport because it's like it's either works or it doesn't. And for him, it just works. His range, by the way, to do the title game, and he does it really well. Like, you think about that basketball game and this tournament, like having to do that in the same week, like, that's pretty goddamn amazing.
Well,
like,
and he does it all in March, too. It's a crazy thing to think about. And when you were saying that, I was thinking of like other people that like are so good at particular sports. Like they cover other things, but they're really good at certain sports.
And he does the NFL game of the week too. Like it's
like it's hard to do a lot of those things well. That's why a lot of people specialize in certain ones for broadcasting. But he is phenomenal at wearing a lot of hats in terms of different sports and broadcasting. It's a very, very unique talent that I don't know that we will see it really ever again. Because I think also like specializing in things is becoming more common because you want people that know these things really well. He just happens to know a lot really well.
For sure. Absolutely. So what about you? What is your...
I told you that I love this tournament so much, so I have multiple things. Starting with today. I would just like to give a shout out to Franklin Fleetwood. He is my MVP of the par 3 contest. He is so cute, and if the Fleetwoods need a nanny, I'm also just like pitching myself for all kinds of off-season jobs here.
Fleetwood
if they need a nanny, I will literally go and be Franklin's nanny because he is a star, an absolute star.
He missed that bunny of a putt, though. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, sorry he's not Charlie Woods, okay? Like,
no,
it can't all be perfect.
The par 3 contest is amazing, and it was actually lost due to COVID. I thought it was going to be lost today because the weather's been kind of shit. So, the par 3...
I'm so happy it's back.
The spirit of it is amazing. I agree with you.
But I will say that, and then the other thing is last year I made azaleas at home for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. They're really like sweet, and so I like made mine a little less sweet. Fantastic. So recommend that. We'll definitely be asking the pool bartender to make us azaleas tomorrow. And the last thing is the like Masters commercials with the music, the like intro music when it comes in and everything. Like that gets me every time. Like straight
fake birds.
Yeah.
I do have two, and one of them they're both food related, of course, and one of them will transition to what we want to do. The concession prices to me are always hilarious. And being there, it's like, wait, this domestic beer actually costs $3? Not that I'm drinking domestic beer. Yes, this sandwich costs $1.50, even in this supply chain. You're goddamn right it does. Augusta's
with inflation?
Yeah, even with inflation, the concession prices, not, you have to pay $20,000 to stay there and get there. But buddy, that $2 sandwich is right in my wheelhouse. And then the other thing, of course, is the Champions Dinner. And I love this. I am envious of it. So Hideki Matsuyama won last year. Yes. I thought his course, he had He had the cod going on. He had some beef in there. He had some shortcake going on. I mean, I don't even have this in front of me. I just studied the menu. So
yeah,
we are compiling our own champions dinners for the Masters. Do you want to go first?
I also want to say something. I want to say something really quick about Hideki. I always sprinkle a little money on Hideki because he is always lurking, always in contention. I also think he has like the sweetest face of all time. I think he's like I think we're the same age. Like I think he just turned 30 this year, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I am with you on betting him, by the way, which we're going to get to. And
we'll get to. But sorry, I just wanted to mention that like he is that, but we need to break down our own Masters. If we were Masters champions, this is what the spread would be. Do we want to do this by like each individual? So we'll start with apps and then go through our apps and then go down.
Yes,
or do we want to do one by one?
Let's do that. Let's do that. So, my app, I've got two: French onion soup and oysters. I love oysters. You're just a NOLA, of course. So, like,
first of all, I love oysters as well, but I also really love French onion soup.
So I gotta say too,
choices.
as like I'm classic with my meal. I am like
you are.
Yeah. Oh no, I am. I'm like kind of like if I'm gonna have a nice meal, I'm probably going to a steakhouse of some kind, and this is what's on the menu, and I'd like to treat everybody to like what I would consider like a safe. Although oysters aren't really safe. There's people that wouldn't like oysters. And that's the DNA of my menu item. Very safe, but go ahead. What is on your appetizers?
Okay, so I have to preface this by saying I love seafood. Like, I love seafood. So when people were getting mad about people not liking sushi, I was on that train. I was like, if you don't like sushi, get lost. Like, eat later.
Yes.
Have your peanut butter and jelly or chicken tenders like a child later. I don't care. I'd much rather eat the sashimi, okay? That's how I felt about that. But I'm going with a good shrimp cocktail. And I will say,
it's great
St. Elmo's sauce on the side. St. Elmo's cocktail sauce on the side. That's what we're doing.
By the way, I did order St. Elmo's, and I had it the other night. I'm back on. I've had it like 2 times in the last month. Just saying. But I just thought about shrimp cocktail. That's like elegance. That is in the vibe of exactly where I'm going. So that is a good one.
Perfect. So I went a little overboard on the apps because I love appetizers. Like if I could just like order a bunch of appetizers, that'd be great. My second appetizer, I don't know if you remember, but the blue crab beignets from Restaurant Revolution in New Orleans. That a million times over, yes. Those were the best food item I probably ever had. It was so good. Did
you go back?
No, so I tried to get a reservation, and it was only for 2 people, and they still could not get me in at all that weekend. So the secret's out. That's like the place to go.
God damn it! Damn it! But the myth or the allure lives on. Those were I want those though, because I feel like if someone tries to do that and it's not exactly that, it's not going to be good.
Oh no, they're specifically from that restaurant. It has to be from like we'll fly them in, have them make them, whatever.
Perfect.
I'm a Masters champion. I can afford it.
Absolutely.
Well, and the Masters is picking up the tab anyway. But I will say I overdid on the appetizers. Normally there's 2. I picked 3 because I couldn't pass this up, and we briefly discussed this last week. I also do want to reveal to everyone that I did receive a message back from the guy that I accidentally asked what his favorite cheese was and didn't know about the chest, so that's a prop. That's good. Good for me.
Is this still going or is it ended? Like,
no, it's still going. It's fine,
so this is like a like.
Well, it's not like a thing yet. Like all obviously.
No. But it's like it's not. The flame is
He
still...
didn't, like, ignore me. He wasn't like, I think he found it endearing, which is great, because that worked in my favor, but...
I feel like I'm prying. There was an aggressive, is this still a thing? No, but, like, Cheese Man is still...
I'm an open book. It's all for the pod
here. All right,
here.
so Cheese Man has not been, like, completely removed from the equation. Okay.
Yes, so Cheese Guy, and that's also, I don't know if this is a rant. We will get to what I actually chose. Let's start with this.
Yes.
The reason I mention this is because... I love brie cheese so much. Brie cheese with a jam, any sort of like baked brie.
It's
like,
good, Dad. It's good.
Excellent. So that's also going to be on my appetizer. But that cheese guy is is still in the realm, but there's like a trend with like women. I don't know if you know this, but like when you're like dating, you always have like a label for a guy. You don't use his like actual name. You'll be like, oh, say you like met him at a bar anywhere. You're like, oh, it's that bar's name, Guy.
Yeah.
Or like Cheese Guy, because that's like the thing that came up. And like literally my friends text me and they'll be like, what's up with Cheese Guy? How'd it go? Like,
wow,
or like
so
things
Cheese
like that.
Guy, I mean, Cheese Guy is still like...
Cheese Guy hasn't gotten a date yet, but it's only because I've been on the road. So that's, to be fair.
Cheese Guy, we're all counting on you, buddy. Good luck. And no, I don't know about that. I haven't dated in like 20 years, so don't mind me.
Shout out Caitlin though, because
yeah. Hey, there we go. Cheers to that. Now, main courses. We have vastly different main courses here. Where do we go? Me go first. Okay, so again, traditional. I fucking love steak. Okay, I love steak, but I want a dry aged bone-in ribeye. Right, I want dry-aged bone-in ribeye.
Specific.
I want it cooked rare to medium rare, depending on where we are, and a char crust. Right, that's what everybody is eating. And then to accompany it, again, classic lobster mac and cheese. We're doing it. I was gonna go surf and turf. I think Adam Scott did that when he won the Masters. He went lobster. They called them bugs. Just hilarious to me. And steak, we're going to do lobster mac, and we're going to do classic asparagus. Very traditional, but I feel great about it. Like, I tried to do something. I'm like, oh, let's do something different. No. I want this meal to be exactly like what I would order, but better when I go. Now, yours maybe slightly different than that?
Yeah, I went with one that's like a little rednecky, you could say, or like not... It's like I went with one fast food and one fancy.
Yes.
Is really what I went with. And it's not even that fancy, to be honest with you. My main courses are both really not fancy. But the first is Chick-fil-A nuggets. We're having Chick-fil-A.
They're fucking good, man.
In Georgia, like, we're having Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A nuggets. And then, because I like seafood and can't get around that, I'm thinking fish tacos. I could adjust that to like a fish, like a shrimp pasta or something along those lines.
No. Do you?
But I love a good shrimp taco. Or like shrimp
best.
Taco, fish taco, any, like I said, I love seafood. So for me, like the seafood's gotta be involved.
Would you also have the Chick-fil-A sauces involved? I'm assuming, obviously.
Well, of course. You'd have your pick of whichever one you wanted.
So you would also set up like a tower, like in the shape of the state of Georgia, sauces, like a sauce offering in some sort of Augustian presentation.
It's literally like the Masters logo, and like each letter is a different Chick-fil-A sauce, and it's like laid out the Masters like dipping sauces.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, last but not least, dessert. Now, a little behind, as I like to say, behind the curtain. We're doing the pre-show. We're kind of just going through our meals, and I say to you, you know what? I've got a new stance on dessert. It's liquid dessert, basically drinks. And you pointed out very intuitively, it's basically saying like, buddy, you're kind of an alcoholic. Like that is.
wait. First of all, you were like, what was the other one you said? Okay, so what's yours? Start with that.
Well, it's an alcohol drink. Of course, it's an espresso martini. But I had a stance like that's it.
By the way, I thought I was the most basic white girl on this podcast. But it turns out it's Adam Kramer.
Espresso martini has become my Las Vegas jam. You eat a big meal. You need something to like cool down at a restaurant. Espresso martini does it for me.
Pro tip for my Vegas goers: Cosmopolitan Chandelier Bar, best espresso martinis you can find in Vegas.
That's what I do. I had that last time I was there.
Are you serious? At Cosmo?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kramer, you are like a basic white girl.
I am. But back to my dessert stance. So like. I do drink coffee sometimes. Like if I'm out in Vegas, I need caffeine, right? I don't really go out locally because kids, etc. So, but the espresso martini, people like you'll maybe think that is it is if it's made right.
Yes.
It's very easy to fuck up an espresso martini, which is the only concern I have. But I'm assuming, Augusta, you're not going to fuck up my espresso martini. No.
It has to be more like coffee based.
Yes.
Than cream based.
Correct.
I'd rather be coffee and alcohol tasting than cream based. I had one the other, like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. No. Before I stopped drinking. It was and it's at one of the like better martini places that's in like the local area that I live in, and it tasted like chocolate milk, and I was like, this is the worst. Not that I don't like chocolate milk, but still. But also, what was the other drink that because you were naming? This is why I said this. Because you were naming. You're like,
yes.
liquids that you can drink for
Bailey's and coffee is always good.
Which is alcohol, and then
limoncello, which is like Italian, very much alcohol. Yes, I was reciting down my like scroll of. I'm not like I eat. If you eat well, you are not banking room for dessert, right? That's my problem with dessert. Like after my steak, it's not like, oh man, let's get a fucking huge piece of cake now, buddy. Like it's like I need caffeine. I'm very tired. I'm about to go gamble or do something stupid, most likely. Let's get juiced up for that.
So I think your stance is less that dessert needs to be liquids and more that dessert needs to be alcohol.
Yes, that is correct.
So I think
a very pro alcohol dessert.
Okay.
And also, like, I don't know, I find desserts, like if I were to do a dessert, I want to hear yours and I'll stop my dessert rant. I would probably do something pretty basic. Like a brownie with a vanilla ice cream or something. Like I feel like we overdo desserts sometimes. Okay.
So I have a very strong dessert take. I think cake is the superior dessert of all time. It was funny. Recently, this is a very random conversation. Peek behind the curtain, you could say, with my family. We were talking about just like things like food that you really love. And I was like, look, I love cake. Like all cake. Any cake.
Cake's good.
I think about cake at least twice a day. At least twice. And what's so funny about this is I don't eat cake all the time, but I think about it constantly. That is a t-shirt. Hey, that's a t-shirt. Got to put on a cake. I think about cake twice a day. I love cake so much. I love all cake. I love cake covered in frosting. I love cake plain. I love it. So tradition in my family is for my birthday and my mom's birthday. My mom started doing it for me first, and now I've done it for her. She makes me Texas sheet cake every year. When I was in college, she shipped me one. Like we don't miss a birthday of Texas sheet cake. So I would have to put as like a sentimental value, because also the Champions Dinner usually includes like where they're from.
Oh, sure.
Food from like their designated area. This I feel like is a very like sentimental value thing. Is like my mom makes that for me on my birthday. So it would be Texas sheet cake is what I put on there. But any cake would be great. Like if we could have like a cake bar of just like all kinds of cakes, that would be where you'd find me.
Cake bar. I like that.
That's what I'm going to do for, I think I may have just invented that because there's like donut bar, cookie tables, all kinds of like late night snacks for weddings. I might have a cake bar.
Just like
not just like one cake. Like I know
an
people do
array
different
of
flavors,
cakes.
but I'm thinking like 15 flavors. I'm not thinking just like 2 or 3.
Oh no. It's like Cheese Man. Cheese Man, if you're listening. Good luck, buddy. Good luck to that cake bill.
Good luck paying
for that. It's like $7,000 in cake. But you know what?
Cap's listening to this going, I have to pay for 15 cakes?
Yeah, it's true. Then I'm sorry, Cheese Man. You're along for the ride, buddy. Just enjoy the cake.
Just enjoy the day. It's about the cake. It's not really about you guys.
And don't push back on the cake. Don't say like...
We should do like I can't when people cupcakes. Like don't have cake at their wedding. I get like pretty upset. Like I'm not even. That's not even a joke. I'm like very disappointed.
You have to have cake at your wedding. You have.
I don't care if it's a cupcake. Fine, just have some form of cake.
All right. I like your. These are 2 good meals. Tell us if you're listening. At us.
Yeah.
What is your Champions Dinner? I think it'd be. I would actually love to hear it because I think they're going to be very different. I think most of them are going to be very good. That's kind of the fun thing about Champions Dinner. Well, let's bet. Let's make some money. Now, before we do, Picks and Pints, kind of back. It's been off a little bit. We've made some picks on Final Four, but I got a new one here. Goofy Boots. Penrose Brewery.
The video quality on that when you just put it up was excellent. I don't know if it's just because you've been fuzzy.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Goofy Boots. That I think it's the black background that really helps.
It's
Goofy
a really
Boots. Where's it from?
It is local. Penrose. This is local to me in Illinois. Really good. Really good. I had one of these a couple of weeks ago. I think it's won some sort. It's kind of like a pale ale, but it's labeled as an IPA, which is actually exactly my stuff. You have a pale ale with a little kick, that's sort of fringe IPA, also very hazy, very, very good. Now,
I will say our guest audience viewer, Mary Patton, is a big IPA fan. I can't drink them, so.
Wow. Well, they are delightful. You know how I stand. Team IPA. Now, how many golfers do we want to pick? Like, do we want...
Let's pick top 3. Who do you think will finish?
So these are... I'm picking winners. All right, when I bet Augusta, I'm not picking top 10s. I'm not picking head-to-head. Well, I will bet that. But I am picking winners. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down my list. I'm using DraftKings of who...
DraftKings app.
Here, and I can put it in here too. Of who...
Clearly, we do a lot of research before our...
Yeah, no, I've had this open today. I'm in a Calcutta, too, that I'm, like, bidding on golfers as well.
The Masters 2020.
I am always, Paige, looking for value. I'm always looking for value, which means I'm not betting a lot of the favorites. Last year, I had Justin Rose at 150 to 1. He was leading after 2 rounds. I think I had $50 on him. I'm like, holy shit, $6,000. No, he faded terribly and blew up. So that's usually how my Masters goes. I like Xander Schauffele at 20 to 1. I know I'm going to have Xander in my picks at 20 to 1. I think he's got awesome game. I think
him in the top 10. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, go ahead. Top 10 is 4 to 1, or excuse me, 2 to 1. Top 10. So
that's still pretty good odds for top 10. That's like pretty much guaranteed cash back.
I think my only concern with him is, can he win? But at 20 to 1, again, I'm looking for value. I'm going to go with Xander, at least as one of my picks.
To win.
To win, 20 to 1. I could keep going down too, because that's it. Now, let me ask you as I'm going down my list. Matsuyama, 35 to 1. Are you interested? Back to back, kind of hard. Yay or nay?
Kind of hard.
I like Paul Casey at 60 to 1. I like Paul Casey at 60 to 1.
See, I'm looking less at winners because I know you're looking for value, but I think a good value for someone in the top 10 would be Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah, he's... Hold on now. Oh my God. See, I want to bet all this shit.
That's plus 350 to be in the top 10.
He always plays well there, I feel like.
Yes.
And
always. Because he's also one of the first golfers that I remember like watching play, because he's like South African, and I was like always like, my grandpa was always like, oh, the South African, like he's this guy, and like that's like where I picked up like golf sort of. So I feel like I also know that he's always contending at Augusta, like because of that.
I am also making a declaration that I'm not betting Tiger Woods. I think, what is he, 40 to 1 is terrible value. It's terrible
plus 500
value.
To be in the top 10.
I can't do it. Like, I'm going to root, and if he does it, it's going to be amazing.
How do you feel about Spieth?
You know, there's a lot going on with his swing. He's a bit all over the place. He plays this course incredibly well. At 22 to 1, I kind of like him. I just worry, like, mentally, like, he's, like, it's going to get weird and intense.
In that course.
I know, because he's got, like, all the scars and everything else. But I do like that at 22 to 1. You know who I
like, actually? I like Victor Hovland.
Okay, I'm in on that. The other one I'd say, I'll give you a couple of deep ones. Siwoo Kim, 90 to 1, Gary Woodland at 100 to 1. Those are both going to be on my card. God, there's a lot of golfers. Look at all this value.
I mean,
look at all this. I do love that there's odds on Larry Mize at 100 plus 100,000.
Matt Wolff?
Yeah, he was like on the up, right? And then not so much. Where's he at?
I also just love that some of these, like, I was talking about this earlier, but like the fact that like golfers get to like play forever.
Yes. Like
they're just like, there's so many guys that like I've literally been watching since I was like a legit child that are playing in the Masters still.
And who was it? one of the dinosaur sports writers was complaining about that it like I think it's awesome. Like you
Wait,
wait
really?
Yeah, it was Rick Riley was like, oh, of course I'll make the cut, talking about Tiger, because like half the field makes the cut with half the field makes the cut with all these old timers playing, which I think is amazing. I'm with you. I love it.
I love it because it's also like guys that I've watched like for such a long time. Like I have such a like soft spot.
All right, any other picks? I've got to actually get my shit together. I've thrown out people that I like, but I'm not confident in this.
I think I am going to take Hovland.
Yep.
You know what? I also
kind of like Shane Lowry too. I think he'll be in there. Morcal was a good bet. With
I legitimately was just thinking. I was like, do I go with the Cal Bear?
All right, I've got work to do.
We have a lot of work to do. I'm going to say my lock to people would be Hovland.
All right, I'm going to go with Schauffele's going to be my guy. I'm going to go with Schauffele. Both are 20-1, which is good. So let's see how we do. All right, we got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm going to Disney in a couple of weeks. So next week, I have been planning this like a fucking psycho. So I'll bring people behind the scenes of my Disney planning of what I'm doing right now to get prepared for this. It's unbelievable and it's a little excessive and insane. Also, my goal to drink around the world at Epcot. Because you can get drinks in all the countries.
Honestly, I wish I was invited on this family vacation because I feel like I'm an excellent like nanny as well. You and Caitlin can go do whatever, and I can take care of the kids.
Well, I'm gonna get
drinking around the world seems like I feel like that's gonna happen. The other thing, there is like a very like we should definitely dive into some Disney favorites things because like I'm also like not closeted, but like very much not a Disney adult. But, like, I do love my fair share of Disney. So
you could absolutely do this as an adult, as I'm learning. Like, this is not...
You can. It's fun.
It is fun. No, you can absolutely...
You gotta know how to do it.
Well, that's what I'm learning. So we'll have tips on that. I'm sure A&M will sign someone else. We'll talk Masters.
We'll talk Masters, of course, because it's the greatest.
We'll talk everything. So, with that, enjoy the rest of the Masters. Enjoy your time, by the way, in Arizona.
Yes,
and
of course.
For Paige... I'm Adam. We'll talk to you guys next week.
I love that like we legit have nothing to talk about, but still like manage to talk for an hour.
That's what we do.